Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for January 10th, 2025, the second 3-hour episode of Smackdown. We do have the Royal Rumble coming up in just a few weeks. Let's get to this episode of Smackdown. We had the new Smackdown commentary team, formerly of Raw, Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett, introducing us. Portland, Oregon, Moda Center. I've been there before. Nice arena. Joe and Wade were in blue suits for SmackDown. We had a video package hyping up what happened on the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw. And then we had Paul Heyman in the ring for a promo. He talked about how there is now one tribal chief. He invited Cody Rhodes to the ring. WWE champion Cody came down. Paul Heyman said that Cody has earned the respect of Roman Reigns. However, Reigns wants his championship back, and Paul Heyman revealed that Roman Reigns is officially entering the 2025 Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns officially joins John Cena. And CM Punk did mention entering the Rumble on the post-match interview he did after he defeated Seth Rollins. But I'm not sure if that is official. However, I expect Punk to be in there. 2025 Royal Rumble shaping up. Then we had Kevin Owens, who was facing Cody in a ladder match at the Rumble. He interrupted from the crowd. He talked about how Cody chose to help the bloodline, and look what happened. Cody Rhodes went right after Kevin Owens. They brawled in the crowd. Then we had Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga confronting Paul Heyman. They were going to attack him, but fortunately for Heyman, Jimmy Uso made the save with a steel chair, but Jimmy was overwhelmed. It was 2-on-1. Fortunately, Cody Rhodes was able to help out Jimmy from any further damage, and that wrapped up our opening segment. It was a solid opening segment. It set up what ended up being the main event of the show. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We established Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble. Backstage, Jacob Fatu was very angry. You had security there. And LA Knight ended up shoving Jacob out of the building. He shoved him and then slammed the door on him. So, of course, this is supposed to mean no more Jacob Fatu. But basically what it did was it telegraphed what was going to happen in LA Knight's match with Shinsuke Nakamura. If you've watched WWE for any amount of time, you know when something like this happens, it's a neon sign that LA Knight's going to get screwed out of the United States title. So it pretty much took me out of the excitement for the U.S. title match because I knew, okay, Jacob Fatu's just going to show up later and cost LA Knight the title. So I wasn't a fan of this, although if you're a new WWE fan or you don't really pay that much attention, you probably didn't think anything of it. But if you're me, you're like, well, now we know LA Knight's not winning the title. We had our first match of the evening, which was Michin versus Chelsea Green, rematch for the United States Championship, the women's U.S. title. Michin got no entrance, which historically in WWE, that is not a good sign. Match was very basic. Basic TV match, not much to it. Maybe the highlight of it was Michin doing a little bit of twerking, followed by a cannonball. And then Chelsea got the upper hand. However, she went for a top rope drop kick. She missed. And Michin perhaps was on the verge of winning, but then Piper Niven provided a distraction. Michin went after Piper, and then that few moments That ultimately cost her because she came off the top with a crossbody. However, it gave Chelsea enough time to recover, and Chelsea reversed it into a pin and got the 1-2-3 victory. Chelsea Green retains. Match was okay. Basically giving Chelsea a win, giving her a successful title defense. It was fine for what it was, but it was a skippable match. If you didn't see it, you didn't miss anything. Next up, we had Los Garza of Legado del Fantasma against Pretty Deadly. I'm not sure if Legado del Fantasma are baby faces now. It's not really clear. I think they have new music, unless it's just the music for Los Garza. Not a fan of it. This match was another very standard, run-of-the-mill match. Pretty Deadly had the upper hand for a while. Then Angel tagged in, and Los Garza got the upper hand for a while. Kit Wilson was screaming for DIY's help. They were expecting DIY to be out there, but no DIY. Then Prince tagged in, but then Elektra Lopez got on the apron, distracted the referee. So another distraction here, and Santos Escobar interfered. He pulled Prince off the top, and then Los Garza won the match with the double press slam to Prince. Match was okay, but again, skippable. Not much else to say about it. Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. A little side note here. Today in history from 2000, Bret Hart wrestles for the final time in WCW. Hamp says he didn't have internet then, so it was like he just disappeared without warning. I believe the match was against Kevin Nash, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe Bret Hart's last match was against Kevin Nash. He already had the concussion and wrestled several more times after Starrcade 99. He wrestled Terry Funk in a hardcore match, and then I believe he had a match with Kevin Nash. Then he was officially diagnosed with a concussion, and he was out. Sad ending to the career of Bret Hart. Thank you for that, Hamp. Next up, we had LA Knight, versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Lillian Garcia did a little special entrance for LA Knight, even adding in her own As I mentioned earlier, what they did with the Jacob Fatu LA Knight backstage moment took me out of this match. It was competitive. It was back and forth. But another fairly standard match. LA Knight made a comeback, did the superplex. Nakamura kicked out of that. They traded a little bit of submission work back and forth, and then Nakamura avoided the BFT, went for the Kinshasa, but while he did connect with it, LA Knight was able to get his foot on the rope, and then he went for the Kinshasa into this exposed turnbuckle, but he missed. And then LA Knight hit the BFT. However, he could not make the cover. And then, sure enough, outside interference. The Bloodline returned. What a shocker. Interfering in the match, causing a disqualification. And then they continued to beat down LA Knight. But then Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso returned. There was a brawl with all four men. And then Cody Rhodes got on the mic and proposed a tag team match, which general manager Nick Aldis did, in fact, make official for the main event. So there you go. We had a Tiffany Stratton video package. She's the new women's champion. More on her in just a few moments. We then had Motor City Machine Guns versus A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Remember when they were teasing a breakup with A-Town Down Under? Yeah, WWE just pretty much forgot about that. This was a fairly good match. better than the other ones, I think. Motor City Machine Guns double-teamed Waller. But then Theory pulled Sabin to the outside, and then Waller was able to gain the upper hand for his team. And then after the commercial break, Chris Sabin got a hot tag. They did some double teaming. All four men got in, but eventually Motor City Machine Guns able to pick up the win with the Skull and Bones. Solid match. I wish they would do something with A-Town Down Under. I mean, they just feel like enhancement talent at this point. Man, Austin Theory's stock just massively plummeted, and Waller's kind of been like an enhancement guy for the most part, but man, like they had something interesting going with that potential split, and it went nowhere. So yeah. We had Pretty Deadly backstage. They were venting to DIY. They were mad that DIY did not come out and help them in their match. DIY said they couldn't do it because there's already heat on Pretty Deadly. But DIY said that maybe at some point, Pretty Deadly would get an opportunity at the tag team titles. And then Apollo Crews came in and mocked Pretty Deadly for even listening to DIY. So we get our Apollo Crews cameo, 3-hour SmackDowns. Apollo Crews manages to get TV time. And no, Jamie, I was not in Portland, Oregon. I have not been in Portland, Oregon in 5 years. I do miss it, but have not been there in a long time. Actually, almost 6 years now, over 5.5 years. We had Byron Saxton interviewing the new women's champion, Tiffany Stratton, in the ring. And Tiffany talked about how at 25, she's already better than everyone's favorites. She said that Nia Jax saw her as a dumb blonde, but Tiffany said, who's the stupid one now? Nia Jax, of course, interrupted. Nia Jax called her an ungrateful little shit. They had to censor the S word. And Nia said that Tiffy time is up, told her to hand over the title or she was going to take it. Then Bayley interrupted. Bayley wanted a title match. And then Naomi and Bianca interrupted. They want a title match. Then everybody started brawling. Tiffany took out everyone with the prettiest moonsault. And then Nick Aldis made a fatal 4-way match. I hate these interruption segments where one person comes out, then somebody else comes out. And I always wonder, like, where are the people that never get opportunities? Like, this is the time. Like, we're talking in kayfabe terms and storyline terms. Where are all the other people that never get an opportunity? Where's like the Blair Davenports? Like, shouldn't they storm out there and say, no, screw all of you. I want the title match. Like, why do they just sit there in catering and never do anything? It's always the people that just conveniently are in the storyline that come out there and interrupt. Like, their name's on a piece of paper. Bayley can come out there and interrupt. Naomi can interrupt, but no Blair Davenport, nobody else. Only certain people can interrupt. I just hate these segments. Like, they feel so scripted and choreographed, and WWE relies on this segments when they got nothing better. They're like, okay, we can do this segment. We can do a contract signing. We could do a pull-apart brawl. It's their go-to segments. And I just think it's lazy writing. And, well, when you got a 3-hour show, you got more time to kill. Anyways, this set up a 4-way match. So we had a 4-way match. They could have just done a 4-way match, but 3 hours. 4-way match. Nia Jax, of course, the powerhouse. They're all trying to work her over, but she's dominating everybody in this one. Naomi and Bianca tried to suplex her. Nia reversed it on them. And we had the 4-way spot. They always do these to get the big crowd pop. You know what? Portland was not a great city. They did not have the energy that some of the other cities have had in recent weeks, because they didn't even pop all that big for this. And normally this is like a guaranteed monster crowd pop. And they did react, but it wasn't like overwhelming. But anyways, they did that 4-way spot where Nia Jax got double power bombed by Bianca and Naomi as Bayley was being hit with the Samoan drop. So all four of them crash. And then after the break, all of them are trying to pin Nia Jax. Candice LeRae runs down. So once again, we got the outside interference, the distraction. Every single match they're doing it. Then Naomi and Bianca briefly teased a little bit of dissension, but nothing came out of that. Then Bianca went for the KOD, but Candice LeRae grabbed her hair and Bianca had to break free, accidentally whipped her friend Naomi, and then Bayley was able to take advantage, pin Naomi with the Rose Plant, beat her in Portland, the Rose City. There you go. Match was fine, and I actually did like the bit with the hair, with Bianca hitting Naomi. Causes a little bit of dissension between them. You know, that plants the seeds for something in the future. So that was good. I did like that. Backstage, Carmelo Hayes met with Jimmy Uso and warned Jimmy that he might end up like Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's out of action. He got sick. So I wonder if Carmelo and Jimmy are going to be feuding at some point. Thankfully, there was no Carmelo in the main event, so they didn't do that on top of what happened earlier. Bayley was interviewed, and she's got a match coming up next week. They're not waiting till Saturday night's main event. Saturday night's main event almost feels like an afterthought at this point. I mean, clearly they're not putting much stock into it. They did for the first show, and then it did a decent number, but nothing special. So now they're just like, whatever. But yeah, Saturday night's main event coming up in a couple weeks, and they're not really setting up anything for that. Next week, we get Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton. And what's going on with this so-called transfer window? Are we actually going to get some trades or what? I don't know what they're waiting for with this, but I mean, now would be a good time to shake things up a little bit, I think. We had our main event match. Jimmy Uso and WWE Champion Cody Rhodes going up against what's left of the Bloodline for now, although Solo's returning next week. He's nursing his wounds, I guess. He'll be back next week. We got Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga in this tag team match. Very basic tag match. It's the usual deal. Jimmy Uso's beat down. Cody's trying to get the tag, but he gets knocked off the apron. They do this all the time. Then of course, eventually he gets the hot tag. They did the Power and Glory, which is actually what FTR does on a regular basis, where you had Cody Rhodes doing the superplex to Tama Tonga, and then Jimmy does the splash. Then Jacob Fatu was taken out with the Cody Cutter. Jimmy does the dive, sends Jacob over the table. Kevin Owens, though, shows up, and Cody Rhodes, the worst tag team partner of all time, can't even keep his composure. He goes after Owens, betraying his tag team partner, leaving him high and dry. And Jimmy Uso, of course, gets pinned. What a shitty tag team partner Cody Rhodes was, letting his emotions get the best of him instead of being a good tag team partner. What a dipshit. But anyways, of course, with Cody distracted, Jacob Fatu pins Jimmy Uso with the moonsault. And then after the match, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens fight on top of the equipment. They get up on the equipment, and there just so happens to be like two tables stacked perfectly right next to this equipment. So they could not have made it any more obvious that these guys were going through the table. Like, it was so blatant. I mean, if anything, I think in the Kevin Dunn era, they would have done a little bit better job disguising it with all the quick camera shots and everything. So to me, like just the way they shot it, it looked so choreographed and obvious. And sure enough, Cody spears Owens through the table. Crowd popped for it, but again, not overwhelming, not like the big holy shit or anything like that. So yeah, execution-wise, not great. So some of you might be thinking, well, it sounds like I didn't really like SmackDown that much. And the answer is, I didn't like it that much. It was okay. But man, this was like your average, by-the-numbers SmackDown, lackluster. Wrestling was decent, but this was a show where if you missed it, you really did not miss much of any value. Like I could have skipped the SmackDown and I would not have regretted it at all. I'm not necessarily opening my eyes. It's just like not every week can be a home run. That's just the way it is. Not every show is going to be great. This guy experience sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you. This guy says, well, they already done with Nia in the title picture. Well, they mentioned on commentary that there's no automatic rematch. So yeah, they got Nia out of it without making her look weak. There you go. The 3-hour show, like the wrestling was decent. Like it wasn't bad or anything, but it was very standard. Not anything out of the ordinary. And the Rumble, they did a little bit to set up the Rumble, but not much. So yeah, it definitely dragged. This 3-hour show dragged, and it was very slow paced, and I just didn't really care much about what was happening on the show. So here we go. I think this show was below par. Like I was thinking average, but I actually thought it was a little below average. So I am going with a 4. 4 points for SmackDown. Slightly below par. Kind of lackluster, but not bad. Like bad would be lower than that. I'm going with a 4. I just wasn't feeling SmackDown this week. Weakest one in a while, and weakest show of the year so far, but it's early. We got a lot to go here. And yes, for those of you that say I'm only positive on WWE, I just crap on AEW, well, Dynamite was a better show. There you go. Soundbite it. Record it. Remember the quote. Dynamite was better than SmackDown this week. There you go. And I would say quite a bit, not even slightly. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Not every week can be great for WWE. I hope next week will be better. But I'm already missing the 2-hour shows because I felt like they stretched this one quite a bit longer than it needed to be. But they have the commitments. Maybe that's the positive thing about Netflix. Like they don't have a set time that they have to end. With Raw on Netflix, if they think, okay, this show really shouldn't be longer than 2 hours, bam, you get a 2-hour show. But then if they have a lot of stuff, then they could be like, okay, we can do 3 hours here. So it may work out good for Netflix. I'm really curious to see how these shows play out with the run times and what they go with. But yeah, this show did not need to be 3 hours. Bottom line. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I'll be back soon. Stay tuned to the channel, NoDQ.com/YouTube. Say yes to NoDQ, and I will see you all next time.